with us and our families is restore order. By us working to restore order in our community, we are here to share stories, experiences, and even give our own accounts of personal accounts of what is going on in our lives. And that's where I would start with my own personal account of my relationship with my son, who's a guest, excuse me, who's a guest on the podcast, as well as um, the son and daughter of our moderator and intellectual anchor, Dr. Mwalimu. We have Jakuya and Jasima on board as well. So I'm gonna start with my account of not being able to be in my son's life like I wanted to. Jalen was born in 2002, in July 2002. We had a pretty good relationship up until I think he was around the age of 4. Our relationship didn't go bad, but I wasn't prevalent anymore. His mother and I had decided to part ways. Over the years, from 2006 to 2013, I think I had the opportunity to see Jalen 3 times. Jalen, of course, lived in Natchez, Mississippi. I was living in Detroit, Michigan. I tried many times to get Jalen to see Jalen and have him come visit me, because at that time I was working to build my business. I was a new barber, and I was working to build clientele so that I could, constantly be that constant, so I can stay that constant provider for Jalen and my other children. In that process, his mother and I had tried many times to get back together and work things out, but it failed. The attempts failed. So after a while of not having the opportunity to see Jalen like I wanted to, we always talked on the phone. In fact, I had taken Jalen and his brother Cameron. Well, not taking Jalen. I had Jalen, but I'd also taken Cameron to be his brother Cameron, who was born after Jalen, to be my son as well. I was taking care of him. And it was hard. It was really hard having this space in my life where I didn't know if my son was always safe. I would call to check to make sure that he had eaten, that they had eaten. He and Cameron had eaten, just as I did with my other children. I would call to make sure that they had eaten, and if they needed anything, and I provided it as best I could. Of course, like I said, I was working to build up my business, and so the financial resources wasn't always there. In 2013, no, I'm sorry, 2015. I said I didn't see him from 2006 to 20. It was actually 3 times, from 2006 to 2015, when Jalen was 13 years old. I'm sorry. So in that time of seeing him, I would, hear about his development, his growth, talk to him. Jalen was always this very, he was very boisterous, upbeat, had a lot of stories to tell, had a vivid imagination, was really comedic as a child. I missed a lot of that, a lot of that. Not being able to see a lot of that, it hurt. Um, I became withdrawn from a lot of things, a lot of people. There were times um, I wouldn't want to be bothered with anybody, and it was one incident that really had broken my heart. It was in 2007. I had just graduated Specs Howard, and I went. I told his mother, this was after we had a little, little split up, and we were like, you know what, we're gonna try to do this again. I went out, got us an apartment, got us a place, a 2 bedroom, where Jalen and Cameron could have their bedrooms as well, and could share a bedroom, and he and his mother would have had ours. Um, it was in Southwest Detroit, and so I go get the apartment after I finish school, and I rent an SUV because I'm like, okay, she said that they're moving up here with me, and so I was really excited about that, and I jumped in the ride along with my mother and I, and we were headed down there. I kept trying to call to let her know that I was on my way, and the phone kept being sent to voicemail, or someone would pick up the phone and hang it up, pick up the phone and hang it up. And driving, I wound up deciding, no, you know what, hey mom, pull over. I'm gonna get some change. I'm gonna call from a phone booth. So we're like in somewhere in the middle of Ohio, and almost to Kentucky. And I said, well, let me just, well, actually, I'm sorry, we were in Kentucky, almost in Tennessee. And I said, Mama, just let me call because they not answering the phone. Me and her, she and I had been on the road already for about 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours. And I called I called from the payphone, and Kim answered the phone. Jalen's mother, I'm sorry. Jalen's mother answered the phone. And I said, hey, we're on our way. And I'll be there shortly. And while I was driving, I mean, while we're on the road and the car is running, she says to me, "We not coming." I'm like, "What? What's going on?" I was kind of confused as to why we had made so many plans, and she never gave me a solid answer as to why, but um, that was really like one of the um, most trying moments for me because I went home and I stayed in that apartment like for 2 days, man, and didn't say anything, say much to anybody. I just had to, you know, gather myself and get my confidence back. But I finally had a chance to get Jalen to Detroit in 2015. And before Jalen came, I was given a set of instructions by his mother. And his mother said, well, Lamar, Jalen talks a lot. He talks back like he likes to go back and forth with adults. So I said, okay. I said, okay, what you telling me for? So she says, she says, she goes, well, I want you to fix that because I don't want him to come back here, arguing with me or as a matter of fact, I think her guy name was Lamar, I think at the time. So she said, I don't want him coming back here. So I was arguing with her. So I said, okay. So so when he came up, Jay and I was having a beautiful time, man. Great conversation and everything, and I looked at my boy and I seen so much of myself in him personality wise. How he was still funny. I mean, he was funny as hell. And then he says, I remember one time we were sitting in the car, he told me, he said, man, the teacher got mad at me in class, because, when it get hot, when I get real hot, I get real sleepy. And when I get real cold, I get real sleepy. So he was like, the teacher had the heat on in the classroom. and then turned the air. I mean, had the air conditioner off. He got hot. He got sleepy. Then turned the air conditioner on. He got sleepy. Then, so it was just funny, man. But later on that trip, we were getting ready to go see his sister Zuri. When we get there, we were talking, and Jalen went into Jalen mode and wanted to do the back and forth. And so I told him, I said, listen, man, I said, let me tell you something. This shit, this ain't how this shit gonna go. I said, I'm your father, you're my son. When I say something, that's the end of it. There's no back and forth. Now, he may be thinking I'm trying to bully him or whatever, but no, I'm letting him know like there's order. There's order in this thing. There's order in how a father and a son interacts. There's order in how a parent and a child interacts. And his feelings was hurt for a minute, and then we wound up everything wound up cooling down. Cooler heads prevailed, and everything became we had a beautiful rest of the time that he was here. And after that, man, he goes home, and next thing later on, he has a his mother called me and said, "What you do to my son?" And I'm like, "What you mean?" She says, he says you got on this case. And I said, I did. I did what you asked me to do. She in turn goes, I didn't tell you to do nothing. So I'm like, well, sweetie, what do you mean? I mean, you told me that he liked to go back and forth. Well, yeah, that's something we could have done. Wait a minute. This is what you told me to do. And so now I'm made to look to my boy like I guess like a monster, or like somebody that was just, you know, being mean to him, after I hadn't seen him nothing but a few times over 7, 8 years. So after that, man, every time we talked, man, it was he and I would, have like these arguments, and he was the angry young son talking to the absent father, and it wasn't supposed to have been that way. And I had to, he's talking to me, and then I'm responding to him, and so we had these issues, man, and that was something that just wasn't supposed to take place. Even then, I wouldn't have checked him so hard when he came up here with me if she hadn't have told me that. But I would have still checked him. Now, don't get me wrong, I would still checked him. But I gave it a little more because I wanted him to know, no, this is not going to go on with me, and it's not going to go on with your mother or her man, because I want him to respect that man, and who's a man who is the head of that house, and his father, who was actually his father anyway, because he was there with him every day. So I wanted to make sure that he understood that, because I didn't want anything to happen to him. And I mean, like anything where a man who's the head of a house is going to have to stand up and, do what the man of a head of a house should have to do. So I wanted him to develop that respect and remain humble in that process. So we had our time, and it was, like I said, it was tough. It was tough because, I always wanted to know what was going on with him. I couldn't talk to him. I think the last time we had spoken before 2022 was in like 2018 or late 2018 or early 2019, where that was a big ball of confusion. So just thinking back on that and being honest about it, I couldn't fault him. I had to be honest. I couldn't fault him. I couldn't be mad at him. But I did do after that a lot of praying, and a lot of praying that one day we would talk. And I'm gonna leave it at that, and I want to pass it to him so he could tell you all his version of the story. But I do want to tell you also how we reconnected after that. I want us to tell you how we reconnected after that, but go ahead, Jalen. Tell your part, buddy.
Well, shit. Most of what he said, really everything what he said was just like that. I want to say that a lot of our problems, it just came from young shit. I'd rather say young and not understanding um everything and understanding the relationship that him and my mother had at the time. Not understanding, that he was young, she was young, and that emotions was involved with the situation, which caused certain things to happen in certain ways. He did say that he tried to connect with me multiple times, which he did, and I later on found out he did too. But some were hidden, especially in the early stages of my life. I want to say from like around 5 to like maybe 10,
Mm.
all the connections that he tried to make, it wasn't like coming through. If even if he like sent money, sometimes sent anything, I wasn't getting it or didn't hear about it. I was told, something different. But I later on understood why she told me what she told me because of her feelings towards him. But at the same time, that caused us to have a rift towards each other. Like well, I don't know if he had one towards me, but I had one towards him because of what she said. And a lot of that just was built up anger from those situations, not fully understanding what went on. And yeah.
So
Let me jump in here, Jalen, for a second. Let me ask you a question. What was some of the things, if you care to share, uh, that she later on told you that she kept from you in the beginning?
A lot of those times, like when he would try to call me, um, and connect with me in other ways as well. I really can't remember everything, but I know she came clean to some of the things. Some of them she still won't, but I know my mother, and I know when she lying to me, and I know when she lying to me, so I know it's even more to it. But it was just like he'll call, I wouldn't get the call. Like as he said, sometimes they'll pick up and hang the phone up. But sometimes I see the number and I ask her who that number is, and she wouldn't tell me because I was kind of nosy, and she wouldn't tell me. And just things like that. Even with certain money situations, which I ain't saying I supposed to, know about that, but at least tell me he trying to do something. Because growing up, I thought he wasn't sending nothing. I thought he just didn't care.
Well, how did that make you feel? Let's talk about the feelings for a second. How did that make you feel if thinking that, you know, he might not have cared?
Like your dad didn't want you. That's the thought.
Yeah,
Like how did it
yeah.
make you? When that thought came across, like my daddy don't want me.
Shit, I guess I gotta be my own father, and I guess I gotta raise myself from a man perspective.
Yes, sir.
Because I can only get her side of it. I can't get the man side from her. She can try to do her best to provide both sides, but she can only do be a woman at the end of the day. And until like her boyfriend came in the picture, who she's still with at the time, but he provided me some things. But sometimes you neglect those people as well because you looking like, bro, my own father didn't want me, so what I need you
Mm,
for?
yeah, yeah.
So
But
would you
he,
say the impact of it was something that drove you to be kind of closed off or something like that? I mean, how was the impact on you as personality wise?
my I say my personality really turned upside down. As he said, from 5 to like I want to say he came down once and seen me when I was staying in Natchez at the time when I was I think 8 or 9,
9.
At 9, yeah. And then after that, I ain't see him again till I turned 14. And when I turned 14, it was like we picked up where we left off, but I still had built up anger. But at the same time, I wasn't showing it. I was just in the moment of like, shit, I'm with my father at the time. And when I came to visit. But over time, like as I got older, I see that it caused me to be angry. Like I was real angry. I'm talking about going to school, starting shit with my mama and them, just starting shit for no reason.